Good morning. It's Monday, October 30th, 2023. My name is Terry Morgan, and we're here to practice foundations. And I'm going to talk a little bit again today about this whole concept of practice and why we practice and how we develop our own motivation for whatever it is we're going to do. That part of deciding, yeah, I'm going to practice, it makes a big difference in how we see what we're doing and in the fact that, well, here I am, right? Put this down. So, I've been working on a couple of different things. And as part of that, I'm going to turn one more light on here. As part of that, I'm reviewing all of what I have, and all of what I've recorded here, other stuff that I have a lot of other stuff, and some of this new things that I'm working on and trying to get started. And that has, it's that with all the other things that I've got going on has caused me to, what am I doing? How do I, can I do this? Lots of questions. Something that came up the other day, last week, and I talked about this a little bit last week. I'm going to talk about it again just a tiny bit. The idea that we decide what we want to learn. That learning is open. That whoever wants to learn should be able to learn. That's not true. That's absolutely not true for many people around the world. And particularly for women. In some places, we're simply not allowed to learn. You can't learn that. You can't study that. Not even allowed to go to school. Learn to read and write. That level of subordination and restriction is not productive. It's about somebody else. In most cases, well, in all these cases, a male deciding that the woman is not allowed to do that. It's historically been that way, and again, depending on where you are on the planet, it's still true today. That idea is something that motivates me to this day. Well, you gonna tell me I can't because this is who I am? I can't do that because I come in a female package. Watch me. I've never been real good at being told that I can't do something simply because I belong to a particular race or I happen to be female. You're not allowed to do that. Now, there may be some things I do not want to do. American football, never wanted to play. Not really. Not my, just wasn't my thing. I played basketball, I played baseball. When I was growing up, soccer wasn't a thing, but I might have if it had been. Dance a little bit, yeah, not at the right time. Gymnastics, I probably would have liked to, but it wasn't offered at the time that I could have learned it. I was like 3 or 4 years old, and that would have been something my parents would have had to help me with. And they took me to dance. My mom took me to dance school. So different. My dad took me swimming, right? So there were things that I did. It just wasn't that. Again, that is also something that motivates me. My own unique. Everybody has their own unique. It's not just me that has my own unique background, skills, abilities, and interests. It's mine. It's not yours, it's mine. And you can't tell me what it is. You can't tell me how to learn. You can't tell me what I can learn. I'm not going to let you. Not if I've decided that's what I want to do. I'll go find it. I will. That is why I'm still here. That's my foundation. I wanted to learn. I sought that learning. I went looking for it. I wanted to understand, in my case, initially, Tai Chi. I'd studied dance. I liked movement. I played sports when I was a kid. I was just talking about that as this is how I came up. Played sports. I did swimming and diving. I did baseball and basketball. As I got older, I studied dance. And then I was too old. I was too old. 20-something is old for a dancer. It is. I was 20-something when I started. I was too old. My career as a dancer needed to have started when I was 12, 13. If I was good enough, I would have been able to join a company, and I would have been able to develop my skills, and by the time I was in my late teens and early 20s, I would have been a dancer with the company. By the time I was in my late 20s, I'd be looking at retirement and teaching, because that's what happens with our bodies. The stress that a dancer puts on his or her body is pretty extensive. It's quite a lot. Martial arts isn't that much different. The type of stress is different. And the particular art that we practice is different. So in my case, and again, I'm going to draw on my own experience and how I've learned is different than how you may have learned. What I decided was important to me may be different than what you decide is important to you. It's human. That's how we are. That's who we are. That sense of purpose. Why am I here? What am I doing? We're going to practice and we're going to do some physical exercise here in a minute. This is the mental part of it, right? If that mindset, if our mental faculties, if all of the things that we can think about are not part of practice, we're missing the big part of practice. It has to be there. Why do I get up every day? Nobody's telling me I have to get up every day. There's no Not anymore. There's not a loudspeaker going off at 6 o'clock in the morning with the version of Reveille to 10 and the news announcements telling me to get up and do some calisthenics. I lived with that. And there are still places, and I can tell you exactly where they are, that is normal. It is, it's normal. I don't think it's normal. I don't like it. I didn't like it then. I found it really kind of annoying, but there wasn't anything I could do about it, so that experience is not something that everyone has. It's not. It's mine. There were other people there. There were lots of them. And the idea that, and I'm going to say this directly, the idea that because you were not there, you don't believe what I'm saying, and you have decided that I can't possibly have that experience because you deny that it even exists. That level of hate, denying me that I lived through this, I was there, I had this experience. Denying that is possible because you don't want it to exist. You've never seen it. You don't know about it. You've never experienced anything like it. So it can't possibly have happened. No. No. Not in my teaching. My teaching, everything I've learned, everything I've been taught by every teacher that I've studied with, that's wrong. That's wrong. Whoever wants to learn, whoever's open to learning, whoever comes with a humble heart and says, I would like to know, I want to learn this. Maybe you make mistakes, maybe it's not perfect, maybe there's gaps, maybe it's not what this other person experienced, because, well, it's another person. That acknowledgement that each person has something of value, each person has their own experience, their own understanding, their own knowledge, and it comes together with other people, that it's not isolated, that this is just, oh, I've made this up and it's my thinking. I use this one. I use this one because this is a good one. 中以4点 This is, let me come closer here. The Dictionary of Chinese Medicine. Okay. And it's dual language, Chinese and English. Somebody, quite several somebodies. I have more than one of these actually. Quite several somebodies spent years studying language, studying words, and they wrote it down. so that other people could look at a book and learn language, and learn about this word, and learn about that word, and begin to understand some part of the other language. Some cases, the other language, for me, was Chinese. In some cases, the other language was English. For people who didn't speak English as a first language, but could read Chinese. Simplified Chinese. Not the traditional characters, simplified characters. Because that's what I learned. So, the traditional characters, I recognize what they are, but I can't read very well. I can read a little bit. Simplified characters I can read more or less. I have trouble with some things, and it depends on the context, but I'm all right. I studied. I tried to learn. I worked at it. That ability was a gift. If the people who wrote these books had not written them and given me their understanding, I wouldn't have any. It was a gift. Now, I would look at multiple dictionaries, and I would look at context, and I would try to figure out, what does this mean? Because, particularly in translating Professor Liu's work from Chinese into English, the usage is not common. And there are things that he was talking about that if I had not studied with him, I wouldn't know how to translate. And that if I had not studied with him, I would not know how to translate for him what he was saying. I've met other people who were translating, and I have been present, for people who were translating for him, who said wrong. They did not say what he said. They said what they wanted to say. Because they decided, and this is a point I'm getting, this is a huge point, this is why I brought up the dictionary. Professor Liu was teaching class, and someone else was interpreting for him. That person did not say in English what Professor Liu said in Chinese. That person said what he wanted to say. That person also began answering questions that were directed to Professor Liu because he could answer them in English and he didn't feel like translating. I was more than angry. It wasn't the interpreter's class. It wasn't his place to take over the class because he could speak the language. And he knew, never studied, but he magically knew exactly what Professor Liu might say in response to the student's question. No, he didn't. He was imposing himself and his limited level of knowledge on someone else. He didn't know. That concept, I'm talking. On one hand, we have the folks like myself, much more traditional. Let me go look at the dictionary. Let me go see what these words mean. People spent years writing these lexicons. Somebody studied this in order to produce this material. I could study it. I could learn something. I'd like to. Right? So, take a look at that. There's a modernist, I'm going to call it. And it's somewhat isolated, but not nearly as isolated as it should be. There's I belong to this race, and I belong to this culture, and I grew up in this culture, and I am this race, and because of that, I know everything. And I'm going to tell you what it is, and it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. It's just me. I'm the only one that matters, and what I say is true. Nothing else is true. Only what I say is true because I'm the expert, because I'm this race and I'm this culture, and that's all there is to it. Yeah. No. 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 I grew up in this culture. I have my life experience that is part of this culture. I don't necessarily understand this other culture over here all that well, because my life experience is over here. Oh. So, I'm going to stand over here with my life experience and my culture and point at another culture and say, you're wrong. You don't know anything. Because you only looked at the book. No, I didn't just look at the book. I looked at the people who wrote the book. I looked at dozens of books. Dictionaries, not just books, dozens of dictionaries. I'm looking at them on the shelf. There's some of them over here. And I looked at other books. And I had lived experience that gave me insight that I would not have had otherwise. There are, I'm going to go with millions of people who could look at some of the terminology, some of the principles, some of the colorful phrases. Pushing the mountain. What does that mean? What are we doing? 推山拱. What does it mean? Makes no sense in common language. Push the mountain. What's that mean? Palm supporting heaven. What is that? Yin and yang, yang yi. Yin and yang both appear. If you don't understand the concept of yin, you don't understand the concept of yang, then you're not going to understand why both of them appear. It matters. You won't. I can say it. Yin, there's no real good translation for yin and yang. It's just yin and yang. Same with qi. There's no real good other word in another language for qi. It doesn't really translate that well. And that's something else that only my interpretation is correct over here fails to recognize, is that in some 6,000, 8,000 years of human history, we got 6,000 roughly that we know about, and another couple thousand that we can sort of fuzz at. So let's go with 6,000. 6,000 years of human history. I know everything there is to know, and it's only in one language. Really? Really? Okay. Yeah. No. That recognition, again, and I talk about this quite a bit. Where am I? Where am I in my learning? Where am I in my studies? Where am I in what? What do I rely on? Am I going to rely on this joker that thinks he's the best thing ever to anything and knows all the world and everything in it? Yeah, no. Not even. I'm going to go look at the scholars who took the time to write it down. I'm going to seek out the teachers who look for the humanity, not the outward appearance. And I want to look for the students who want to carry on that tradition. That the human matters. The outward appearance is what we work to let go of. It's in the text. As we look inward, as we develop the mind, as we cultivate what we want to cultivate, to develop ourselves, we let go of all of those little things, all of those outward appearances, because the outward appearance doesn't matter anymore. We develop the skill to see movement. We develop the skill to see character. Character and movement. I'm having a little trouble in my back, right? It's on this side. Feeling pretty good now. Sad. Ready to fight. I said what I was doing so that you could understand it. You turn off the volume, you're not going to have a problem. It's there. Being able to see that in the arts, how someone is moving, what they're doing, what they might be able to do, and how we bring that together with what we have or don't have in our mind. I have outward appearance in my mind, my forms are not going to be very good. If I particularly practice internal martial arts, if I'm not paying attention to the internal part, it ain't going to be very good. All I pay attention to is the muscle and to this and to that. It's going to be stiff. It's going to be sharp. And I'm not going to have the fluidity that I want in my movement. Someone else might want those sharp movements. Someone else might want that hard skill. It's a skill. Lots of people practice it. There's absolutely nothing wrong. It's like American football. I just didn't want to play that particular game. Right? Those choices make up our foundation. Yours is different than mine. I'm going to look at the dictionary. I'm not going to depend on somebody who thinks they know it all. I'm not. And the person, I run away from those people, actually. I really try and run away from them. So, that considered study. Why am I here? What am I doing here? What brings me back? What brings me back? Why do I keep coming back? For close to, what was it, 27 years? I kept going back and forth to China. I wanted to study. There's times when Professor Liu came over here. There's times when a lot more times when I went over there. Why? Why? I wanted to learn. That idea, I wanted to learn. That's what keeps me going. I still want to learn. Every time I get up, I learn something. Every time I stand up here and teach a class, I learn something. In preparing for what I intended to do today, this idea of going back to the foundations and paying attention to what we have in mind, right? Feet about shoulder width apart, stand straight, clear the mind, relax the body. That preparation, being able to do that, I've decided I'm going to practice, and I can put myself in a correct position without much trouble. And as I stand here and pull up and start preparing inwardly for my practice, all of the other thoughts go, just go. Clear the mind. Quiet the breath, quiet the body, quiet the mind. Quiet the heart, quiet the spirit. Everything becomes quiet internally. That litany, where do I start? Physical body, right? But that's not enough. What's next? Well, but that's not enough. Breathing, that's not enough. What's next? And then what's next? What's next? Combining all of those elements, physical movement, breathing, quality of movement, everything comes together and blends as one. So everything separately and then everything together as we develop that skill. All right, I've got the movement more or less. My body's open. I can do this without any strain whatsoever. I can do this with no strain. Okay, good. Now, do a little bit more. Oh, okay. Connect the breath. Breathe in, breathe out, right? Yeah, all right, now I've got the physical breath and the physical movement pretty much connected. So, pushing the mountain, breathe out, not breathe in, right? Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. This extension is always outward. It's also up and down. So as I push out, I push down, and I pull up. That combination, if I don't tell you that needs to be there, you don't know about it. Next, we keep going. That study is not trivial, and it's not easily attained. It wasn't. Okay? The magic button that says I push on a button and all of a sudden I know all this. Yeah. That part of my own skill and my own foundation is what I bring to class. That's what I bring to my teaching. Any teacher, I don't care who they are, brings that. Their own foundations, their own skill, who they are, how they developed, what they're teaching, why they're teaching it. All of that matters. Matters to me. Feet about shoulder width apart. Basic stretch. Bend the knees. Hands circle to the front. Back around to both sides. Up along center line. Reach out over the legs. And again. And one more time. Elbows drop down, wrists, fingertips, hands return to your sides. Why this stretch? Why not Professor Liu's warm-up? Why not a dance stretch? 1 and 2 and 3. Reach up as far as you can. Feel that stretch all through the body. Keep the toe down, but stretch up as if you were trying to grab a rope and pull yourself up. And go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8. It feels pretty good. Nice stretch through the whole body. Through the whole back, opens up the shoulders, opens up the hips, feels pretty good. Why do I not do that stretch all the time instead of this outward stretch? I could, because I like that one better. I like that one better. That's exactly what I'm talking about. As you develop, you're going to find something you like better. I like this one. Okay, great. Do it. That's fine. I like this other one better. Okay? That's what you're going to keep in your practice. So when my emphasis is on Xingyi practice, not right now, I'm Tai Chi practice. My emphasis is on Xingyi practice. I pay a lot more attention to my stance here. I'm going to pay a lot more attention to the 5 basic elements. And I'm also going to do a lot more leg work to warm up because, yeah, well, I need it. I need that warm up. All right, in Wudang Tai Chi as well as in Yang style Tai Chi, there's some low work that I need to build up some more strength to do right now. All right. So, a lot of our stances, yeah, this for Tai Chi, right? So, 60 here, 40 here, this foot at 45, this foot straight, this leg parallel. So, the thigh is parallel to the floor. All right. From here, can you move? If you can move smoothly, great. You've got really strong legs. And there are people who can do that. There are. I was pretty close in my younger days. That skill, ability to use the legs, is something that we do want to develop, right? So here, I'm a little too wide. This needs to come back. Here. More or less. Can I move from there? Yeah, not really right now. If I was moving quickly, maybe. Is that level of development, because it is that level of physical development something that I want to work for? Is that what I want? If it is, well, yeah, we're going to work for it. Right? If it's not, then what? Being correct in a Tai Chi stance does not depend on the front leg being parallel, the top of the leg being parallel to the floor. It does not. You can work higher, and in fact, in most applications, okay, so if we're talking about application, I'm not going to worry about being down here. I'm not. I'm here. This is where I fight. This is good. I can be here. I can have a little bit more flex, right? If I need it, it's there. But I'm here, not here. That difference, depending on circumstance, depending on how I'm moving, depending on all of the other things that go with, including my perception, and let's go back to the mind again, including my perception of what should be, what's necessary, what do I need to do here. Leg stretch, and go down on the knee, the back leg, tuck, and I'm going to go this way here for a second. Now I'm going to turn around and do this. All right, you're going to tuck your knee right up against your shoulder. So you're hugging your knee. All right, this stays straight. Plant your toes. Plant the toes on the back foot. Keep that front leg straight. Stay over the leg. and push. You should feel it in the back of your leg, especially in the calf. Push the heel toward the floor. Stay there. And relax. Change legs. Tuck the heel. Set the toes. Push. Push through the back of the leg. Stretch through the whole leg, all the way up through the back. And relax. Come on up. That support that you have through the front leg. So you're leaning, you're holding the leg, it's right here in your shoulder. As you extend the back leg, we're going to take that away so that the body is straight. Not today, but that's what we're going to do. Okay? We're going to do one more stretch, very similar to the one we just did, except that it goes to the side. Okay? So instead of hugging the leg to the front, you've got to hug the leg to the side. All right. This knee is bent. My knee here is out over my toes. I don't really want that, so I need to pull it back. Not as easy, because I'm going to take this leg out to the side. Okay? So, fingertips down, tuck the knee into the shoulder, shift your weight so that your weight is on, and I'm on my right leg, so your weight is on your leg, your sustaining leg, and work this other leg out. Doesn't want to go. It doesn't want to go. It's not going. Hold. Sit. Well, there was a time when I could do that. Not today, apparently. As I'm sitting here, notice where my arm is. This leg is tucked up here. This leg is extended. Push up. Yay, there we go. I'm holding my weight on my hand in the back. Most of my weight is here. This leg has got some space. I want to be able to do this without holding myself with my hand. I'm going to turn around so you can see this. All right, right here. Weight's over here. It's here. It's not enough here to support my weight. Yet, where do I have to be? Better on this side. Where do I have to be? I'll just push it up a little bit more. Where do I have to be in order to do this? And have this hold. And not use my hand. That balance, placement, and strength to hold the legs also comes from up and down. Up and down, right? Being able to go all the way up and all the way down. Feet a little bit wider than shoulder width. Yeah, we are going to do this. Feet a little bit wider than shoulder width. And as the hands circle, settle, and we're going to go all the way down. So, stretch up, open the back, keep the back straight, drop in between the legs, let the legs bend, and come on up. And again, bend through the hip, hold through the waist, try not to lean. One more time. That straight drop, and I'm still leaning a little bit. I get pretty close, but still leaning a little bit. I could get better. Working on it. That stretch, combined with these other stretches we just did, combined with a whole bunch more, to open up the hips, enable extending the leg, so that as we're moving, we're not restricted by what somebody else says we can do, right? We're not restricted by, your leg's not supposed to be able to do that. Which one am I going to use? Oh, let me use the right one. Right leg, up here. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be able to do that. But I just did. I'd probably get the left one too. Let me see. I'm going for here. Yeah, close. I mean, here. Yeah, not bad. I could get better. But I'm not supposed to be able to do that. Not supposed to be able to do that either. But I did. And did you pick which hand was the one you should be paying attention to versus the one you could be paying attention to? Because you might have thought about that. You could. That idea. I'm not supposed to be able to do that, but I can. I learned something. I worked at it. I learned. That is why I'm still here. I worked at it. I learned. And I wanted to keep learning. That's why I'm still here. I learned something from everything that I did this morning. I did. I hope you did too. I'm going to stop for today. This idea that the mind, what we have in mind, what we're thinking about, where that foundation comes from, as we're looking at particularly all of the things that I'm teaching in traditional Chinese martial arts and the internal arts, where does it come from? Well, it comes from me. It comes from my study. And there's part of it that comes from a dictionary. I highly value the skill that it takes for someone to create a dictionary. It's not trivial. And that combination of my study, my learning, what other teachers have taught, and that small part of what I've learned is what I hope to pass on. I appreciate y'all being here today. I will be back tomorrow. Maybe not quite so talkative, maybe a little bit more physical effort. I appreciate everyone that's been following me. Thank you.